welcome into this very special edition of The Future is Female. My name is Gabrielle Ducharme. I am joined here by my co-host, Nicole Pinter and Sarandon Raboin.
Hello.
It is so good to be on air tonight, guys. We have a very special guest. ESPN reporter is at the Cronkite School. Her name is Sarah Spain. Sarah, welcome to The Future is Female. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Is your first name Sarandon, like Susan?
Like Susan.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. I think it has a good reporter ring to it.
Yeah, no one's ever going to forget it.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, to start off with, Sarah, welcome to the Cronkite School. What are your first impressions of it when you came through the doors today?
Man, you guys are lucky. The facilities here are amazing, and you're getting tons of reps. And as you guys heard me say in the awesome meeting we just went to, I didn't even know I wanted to get into sports as a job until I was 25 or 26. And so I have a mentee that's in high school, and she's been doing competitions and doing stuff for her high school television channel for years now. And I'm like, how are high schoolers getting more reps than I am? But yeah, you guys are super lucky. And it was great. I had to record something, and I was like, well, I know there's like 18 edit booths here that I can just pop into. Yeah, you guys are super lucky. It's cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And honestly, so speaking of the fact that you didn't start your sports career until you were 25. Now, you were an undergraduate at Cornell University. You were an English major. So can you give us just a really quick brief overview, give our listeners a brief overview of how you ended up at the place you're at now working for ESPN?
Okay, brief. Yeah. So English major, always wanted to be on Saturday Night Live and do comedy. Moved to Chicago for a couple months and then to LA. In LA, did the usual, working at a restaurant, taking classes, going on auditions. Liked it, but wasn't sure if I was great at it. Did some Second City, did the full improv conservatory, realized that I preferred comedy and hosting and using my own quick wit versus being an actress and being a character. Took a hosting boot camp, hosted a fake Chicago Bears show. The teacher said, oh, you want to do sports? I said, no, there's no women in sports. They don't get to be funny. There was almost no representation. And so, but I was like, maybe I'll just take a class and see. Took a TV sports reporting class at UCLA Extension. Totally loved it. Felt like it was my wheelhouse after being an athlete my whole life and through college. I just felt like I was surrounded by people who were more like me than some of the Hollywood vibe I was getting from the other stuff. And so that's when I decided to give it a shot. And everything really, a lot of hard work, and it's been some time now, but everything really clicked as soon as I switched into sports. And I had a writing background, so that was super helpful because I could write a ton. And then being a quick-witted, heavy talker, when I was younger, I was like, I wish I could get paid to talk. And now I do.
That's awesome.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
Really. And so one of the best things that you've done probably in your career is the, oh my God, mean tweets.
Yeah, More Than Mean.
More Than Mean, thank you. I was totally blanking on the name. And so what advice can you give to women experiencing the same thing, or potentially to like female sports journalists like we are, where we're kind of going in knowing that this is going to happen?
Right. I wish I could give you advice that would work for everybody, but everybody's different. So what I would say is, you will get an ever thickening skin the longer you're in the industry. When it starts, it's going to feel terrible. You're going to take it personally. And what I like to remember is that people who are going out of their way to send mean tweets and to be nasty, evil people must be unhappy and must be dissatisfied with themselves. If they're telling you stink at your job, then say, I look forward to getting better. Putting in the reps now, I'll be great later. Everybody makes mistakes. If you make a mistake and they pick on you, it's so much better to just be like, yeah, that was a real brain fart versus getting crazy defensive. Because now that I'm more like established, when I make a mistake, I just kind of own it and I'm like, whoops. Whereas before I was so worried about being like found out that I would freak out. It's just better to be casual about it. Say, I hope I don't make more mistakes, but that happens. And if they're picking on you for anything else, whether it's your looks or being a woman or anything else, try to give it as little brain time as possible. It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But like I said, if I take the approach of I feel sorry for this person, that they're unhappy enough to be mean to me for no reason, that feels a lot better than being angry with them or being actually hurt by them. I don't want to give them any space to live in my brain. And if they're picking on something that bothers you, then decide if you want to fix it, right? If they're like, your hair sucks, be like, it does kind of suck. Let me fix that. And if they're like, your hair sucks and it doesn't, then be like, it doesn't suck. I'm good.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Great
kind
advice.
of along the lines of that is, what can female fans of sports who are, looking to support female sports journalists, what can they do to really help you guys and support you guys?
I think one of the biggest things is just like put in the work to actually listen, watch, and read. I have people who are well-meaning, but they'll approach me and they'll be like, women. They'll be like, most of the women in sports suck, but I really like you. And I'm like, they don't though.
Yeah.
You're probably just not giving them a chance or making assumptions about them or listening to someone else's opinion. Or maybe you've only really watched me because you know me and you're not watching the other women. You're just assuming that.
Right.
And a lot of people, I think, just make associations or assumptions based on how someone looks, what they wear, what their voice sounds like, whether they decide they're too pretty to actually be good at their job, which happens all the time, right? Or just they're going with antiquated ideas of what they think women in sports were like and must still be. Just actually put in the work to listen and then be supportive. I can't tell you how wonderful it is when young women sports fans are like sending supportive social media and telling you what a good job you're doing, because you're going to get all the other crap. So it's nice when there's some good ones in there.
For sure.
Yeah, I have 2 quick questions to finish up. I have ESPN and either ESPN or NFL Network on all the time.
Love it.
My roommate probably hates me.
She's got a big screen TV in her room.
Yes.
So I watch Around the Horn all the time. I've watched, it was part of growing up for me was Around the Horn, then PTI.
Nice.
That was how I grew up. So what is it like being on Around the Horn?
It's the best. I actually watched Around the Horn all the time when I was in LA. Before I even decided to do sports, I just watched it for fun. And then when I started out, I would watch it like in awe. And so it's still every once in a while it's crazy to me when I'm like, I'm on the show with Jackie McMullen and Bill Plaschke and Woody Page, like all the people I've been watching forever.
Yeah, these are all legends in the sports industry.
Yeah, and they're people that have been on it since way before I ever even had a dream of doing it. And so I used to look at them and be like, these are the OGs. These are the most badass people. I'm like, oh, that's me now. It's so fun. It's a total family environment. We have calls in the morning to go over the topics, and then in between, we don't do it live, so we'll tape the A block, and then they have to rejigger some of the graphics and everything, so we'll have time to chat before the B block. And we spend that time like having interesting and funny conversations. I know if you follow the Twitter, they put the before the horn clips of like stuff we're talking about off the air. Everybody's just really awesome and fun. Tony Reale's the best, and he's like the guy who keeps the whole family coming back to Thanksgiving dinner, right? He's got and super supportive, and it's really fun, and it's a combination of basically trash talking and knowledge, and those are my 2 wheelhouses. Is like sports knowledge and then super competitive trash talk. So it's great.
Yeah, it is super competitive trash talk basically. And finally, you grew up in Lake Forest. You noticed the Michigan sticker.
Yeah.
Go Blue. I just have to say it every time.
Yeah.
Every show.
But I actually live in Vernon Hills now.
No
when I was
way.
10. Yeah. So have you
Sukasa, best restaurant
my God, yeah.
ever.
Have you been back lately?
Actually, I just went back like 2 weeks ago because there's a guy who has this great wildlife discovery center in Lake Forest, and I made friends with him, and so I took my niece and nephew there to go pet a sloth and meet a bunch of lizards and snakes, and then we went and had lunch in Lake Forest. So it was cool to be back. I don't get back as much as I should. My parents moved to Chicago 4 days after I left for college, if that tells you any about how much they wanted to just be downtown and stop commuting. They were like, all right, get out of here. Good. We're out. And they didn't dislike Lake Forest. They'd been commuting their whole lives to have us be raised there, and they wanted to be in the city and be near all the theater and the restaurants and their jobs.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't have a home to go back to when I would come back. So I go back occasionally for friends or like something at the high school, but most of the time I'm still in Chicago.
Okay. How different is it now? Because I know
From what I know,
it's like it's preppy. That's what's considered.
Oh, it's always
every time we dress up for meets there. Has it always been
super preppy? Oh yeah.
Oh, we always dress preppy for like swim meets.
Well,
when we
had
there.
great names for all the places that we played. So you were Vernon Hills.
Vernon Hills.
Vermin.
Vermin.
Vermin
that was the name.
Hills.
Oh, that was the name.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
we have
That
a
was
name.
the nickname.
Yes.
No,
And
I'm
then
honored to have a nickname. No one knows Vernon Hills.
Libertyville was Kill the Ville.
Oh, I love
and,
that.
yeah, we all like all the different places. Like we would find ways to spin their name if they were like rivals in some sport. Vernon Hills, we really just knew for Sukasa and the mall.
That is still all it's known for.
Yeah.
We also have a really cool gas station, if you haven't heard.
Oh wow.
Buc-ee's, yeah.
Yeah,
People
no,
were
we're
excited.
we're really prep-tastic.
Oh, yes.
I thought it was a wonderful place to grow up, but it's funny when I was even in college, I was like, why would anyone want to live anywhere else? It's safe, it's beautiful, it's a wonderful place to grow up, great schools, etc. And then I got out into the world and I was like, oh, there's like diversity. And so when I look back, my parents, I think, took pretty great pains to try to get us not to be the stereotype of people who live there. We volunteered at soup kitchens. We went into the city a lot. We explored a bunch of stuff. I didn't have like a Hummer for my first car, which a bunch of people did.
Oh my God. Not believe.
Mr. T lived there, all the bulls, all the bears. You know, it's a very well-to-do area. Which, as long as you get raised not to be an a-hole, I think you can be a good person and grow up there. But I wouldn't want to live there now. It's too homogenized for me.
Even now, like even Vernon Hills, you know, it's kind of, I don't want to say leaked, but it's that whole area. Yeah. to be honest.
But it's a nice place to grow up.
Oh, for sure.
And I still have a lot of friends. I have friends who moved back there, and I'm like, whoa, you're your parents. They like live in Lake Forest, and they have kids. And I'm like, run away.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, honestly, from Lakewood, Illinois to Chicago, from Lake Forest, Illinois to Chicago to Los Angeles and back, you've traveled the country.
And New York for college,
And New York, Cornell University. You traveled. You've been all across the country. What do you think your favorite thing, or like your favorite place that you've been? Like, and what was your favorite thing that you did there?
Yeah. So, one thing I always tell people is to go and be somewhere different, because you can always go back where you came from if you miss it and you love it. I deal with the winters in Chicago way better because I went to LA, and LA was wonderful and warm, but it wasn't perfect just because it was warm.
Hey, you're talking to a kid from Southern California.
Yeah,
so
it's amazing.
We're the only ones who understand, Sarah.
But I go back and people are like, how do you deal with the weather? I'm like, I love Chicago. There's so many things I love about Chicago that I'm okay with the weather because I've lived somewhere warm, and it didn't mean that everything was great and perfect. I miss LA. I could see if the perfect opportunity came to maybe go back there for a couple of years, but Chicago is this amazing place for sports, for culture, for people who are really down to earth and real and genuine. My family's nearby. My husband's family's nearby. We have a great group of friends. But I get to LA a couple times a year, and I get to go do my hiking and go to my healthy restaurants. And, you know,
it's very bougie in that way.
It is.
The healthy restaurants, the vegan culture.
Love that.
Right.
All the great smoothies and the healthy lifestyle. And then New York, upstate New York's beautiful. I mean, Cornell is cold, but there's waterfalls everywhere and beautiful scenery. So I really always advise people, wherever you're from, go somewhere else. You can always come back. But it always made me sad when people grew up in Lake Forest, went to U of I, came back to Chicago.
Right. That's pretty much what the area is.
Yeah, but
most
of my... none of those places are bad, but just go somewhere for a couple years, come back. Right. Also because I think when you never leave behind the person you've always been and be somewhere new, you can never reinvent yourself if you want to. And I'm not saying pretend to be something you're not, but why would you want to be around all the people who have known you since you were like 10? Right. Don't you want to move somewhere and see who you really are, not who you used to be? And like, people who I know who are still like, so you hear this about high school? I'm like, I barely remember that person. Not to mention, do I care some gossip about them? Like, I surround myself with people that I love and that I choose to be around. And I do have friends from high school and friends from college and whatever. But it just seems a little bit small-minded to be in one place your whole life and just stick with that.
Yeah.
Not that fun.
Well, what a very nice sentiment to end this little segment on. I mean, you were talking about how many down-to-earth people you know in Chicago, and I cannot believe you were here doing this.
Thanks for having me. I'm obsessed that you guys have a show.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Well, Blaze Radio Online, if you want to tune in every Saturday from
Nicole
10
Pinter
a.m.
YouTube channel if you want to subscribe.
That's like the same time as the Trifecta, which was my three-lady ESPN national radio show was on. It was Saturdays at 10 a.m.
Oh my gosh, it was the first, for people who don't know what that was the first ever 3-person, all women,
all female producers.
Show.
We love.
You guys took, I guess we passed the baton to you. You took over the Saturdays at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah, we did.
I used to fight over who's me, who's Kate Fagan, and who's Jane McManus.
I know.
To fight over it on your own.
I know. That's me a lot.
For sure.
Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this special edition of The Future is Female featuring Miss Sarah Spain. We really appreciate you being with us. And
go Chicago sports.
Come to Must See Mondays.
Come
right
to
now.
Must See Mondays. Right now.
Go
Go downstairs to the First Amendment Forum right now.
Yeah. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
You play ball like a girl!
Well, you kind of throw like a girl. But when a girl is as beautiful as you, she doesn't have to be good.
Wait, what?
On The Future is Female, hosted by Sarandon Raboin, Gabrielle Ducharme, and Nicole Pinter, we believe that everyone should know how to throw like a girl.
Tune in to our show every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. to hear the latest on what's going on with women's sports and women in sports.